This is Steve Ridgel, and I've been thinking about some things lately, and I've come to some conclusions. For example, I was driving not too long ago on an interstate, and boy, there was a trucker just a big truck blocking it, going slow, blocking everything, and then he'd try to pass and go real slow, and I thought he was just rude and blocking the road. So I came to the conclusion: I think all truck drivers are bad people. Oh, and by the way, I also knew a policeman one time who I think was a little arrogant with his power. I mean, he really seemed to be a policeman, not to help people, not even to enforce laws as much as just kind of to throw his power around. So I quickly realized now I've come to the conclusion all policemen are arrogant and bad, and you don't have to listen. And by the way, I know some really stupid laws. I don't know why they're laws, and so I've decided to really the legal system's stupid and messed up, and so I probably don't have to follow any laws because a lot of them are stupid. And, I've known doctors that were incompetent, so I don't think you should trust the medical system. So don't go to the doctor. And, every once in a while, some food company has to do a recall because they really slipped some stuff in, did some wrong. So I don't trust any food. So I guess I'm not going to eat, not going to get doctor care, not going to drive on the roads, not going to be involved in any way in any kind of legal laws or I'm not sure how I live that way. And the truth is, you know what? Yeah, I'm sure they're bad truck drivers. But you know what? I've also seen, I bet 50 times more people, truck drivers who are courteous, who stop and help, who get out of the way, who are nice, friendly, good people. And you know the truth? If a little kid said, give me a piece of advice if I'm ever lost, you know what I would say? Go to a policeman. Have I ever known some that aren't good to me? Yes. But you know what? I would bet 98% of the policemen I know care about people and would help, and I would absolutely send anyone to them for help. Well, I've known a lot of doctors who are way more than just competent medically. I've known a lot of really competent doctors, but I've also known a lot that lead with their heart. And, I trust doctors. And to sum up, yep, sure, some of them are not competent sometimes, but the overwhelming majority really, really are. And I could go on and on and on. I don't let one, you say, well, I saw one bad example. I know one bad example. I read a true story or I read a false one on Facebook. And so I'm going to throw out the whole thing. You know where I'm going on this. People know a Christian that didn't act like Jesus. Maybe he really was a hypocrite or she really was a hypocrite. Never cared about Jesus. Church was just a way to get to people to make a sale or abuse somebody or whatever. And I've known a lot of Christians who struggle. But you know what? For everyone, if you're thinking, I'm not going to church because they're a bunch of hypocrites, I'm not going to because this person is, I won't go to that church because I know they have that one. 98% of the Christians I know, probably more than that, I'd bet it's really closer to 100. I don't know. I just know this. Almost everybody I know that shows up in church and claims to follow Jesus and tries to follow Jesus really genuinely means it. And they do way more good than harm. And yes, sometimes there are strugglers. And a lot of them you'll hear and see where they repent, change their life back, try to follow Jesus better. Sure, there are a few hypocrites, but I had somebody a long time tell me, if you let a hypocrite get between you and Jesus, he's closer than you are. Well, you get my point. It's awful easy to take one example and try to build a whole theory around it. Everybody is because I knew one who was. And that's just not true, especially when you're talking about followers of Jesus. So, come check it out.